Yeah, what's up, guys? It's just Jason. I'm here to talk about something kind of serious: the death of our boy Aziz Ayami, aka Hax Money. So look, long story short, what happened is a couple good like years ago by this point, he made some kind of video which is long and overly logically produced, and it's kind of just this long hit piece where he compares Leffen to Hitler, and he basically just said some shit that was kind of stupid. It was like, okay, well, I mean, most people just thought he was a moron at the time, but here's the deal. Um, People felt as though, quick TLDR for those of you who don't know, um, people felt as though that this hit piece was such a defamation of character on this guy Leffen that it was apparently endangering him and making him unsafe, even though I never heard of him getting assaulted or approached at any events or anything like that. But hey, whatever spins the narrative into whoever wants to abuse power or whichever fanboy we want to be. So, long story short, they banned Hacks because of this long, unhinged, arguably, this long, unhinged, mentally unhealthy video doc, um, with lots of like rhetoric and shit like that. And it's like, all right, obviously this guy wasn't in the right state of mind when he made this video. Anybody with any experience with people could tell that. So they ban him, and it's like, okay, sure, I'm sure I'll be back eventually, right? Not quite. So he makes his repents, and then a couple years later pass, and they finally unban him after years of after. First of all, what happened was is he made Hax's nightclub for us all to play and for himself to compete in, and that was great, and it was very influential for the Melee community. And then he was the TO and creator of this tournament who made the deals with OS originally to make this happen. And then what they ended up doing was, behind the scenes, they usurped him, took his tournament, and then banned him from his own tournament, from his own scene that he's been a part of and an influencer in since like 2008 or something like that. And it's like, you can't fucking make this shit up. So now basically the TOs all across the nation are like, you know what, we gotta protect Leffen. We gotta protect Leffen. You know, he's obviously in danger because Hax is using his platform recklessly. It's like, yo, dude, where I'm from, you know, and I've been to a lot of different places. Where I'm from, like, though honestly, like somebody says some shit about you, like your reputation might get messed up a little bit. That's how it goes. But like, we're not gonna go out of our way to like, you're not going to get banned from the basketball court. You're not going to get banned from your job just because, like, you said something about somebody in an unrelated community. And it's like, okay, now the argument is, oh, but what about Leffen? Doesn't that endanger him? I didn't really see anything happen to the dude. He's been just chilling in a bunch of different communities ever since. The funny thing is that he got banned. So he hasn't even been part of the... I mean, he quit, so he hasn't even been part of the community in a while. So with all of that in mind, Aziz wanted to come back, and he kept asking, until eventually the community let him back in for a little bit. But they wrote him like a whole code of conduct. I saw somebody on Twitter they're like they're fucking FIFA, and it's like, yeah, who do these people think they are? And I say who do these people in reference to the Melee community, the backroom people, the people who run the community, because apparently they've picked up on some sort of moral superiority, kind of like a way of living that is just right. Meaning, like, if you disagree with it, if you sound too radical, if you use certain words, if you speak a certain way, if you act a certain way, you are no longer allowed to play this video game that you love to play just because you think a little bit differently. Now, you could be wrong, you could be right. Like, the people who are enforcing these rules have a very obvious, strict, I would say definitively, traditionally, definitively, sociologically, in terms of like modern speak, like I would say there's kind of a liberal way of saying things, and I'm not a conservative person. I'm neither here nor there. We're not getting into politics, but I don't really identify super hard with either side because it's like, like there's two sides of the same coin. But so I digress. So it's like, clearly the TOs have decided that there's like these 20-something-year-old dudes, or maybe like going into their 30s at most, like dudes who, at most they went through college, like, like they're just people. They're just regular kids that probably, like the rest of us who got into the Melee community and video game communities, were probably just nerds growing up, probably bullied, probably just as antisocial as the rest of us, so to put them in a position of power to dictate the other antisocial, awkward, mistake-making nerds is just like, and I'm a nerd too, so I say that with a lot of love, is kind of just like the most wildest, like, power hierarchy and hypocrisy that I could have ever heard. And I come from the community. I've been here since like 2013, 2014. And it wasn't always like this. There was a point in time where you could be yourself, and if somebody really had a problem with you or whatever, yeah, we would kick people out of events, but that would be like when it was really causing problems every week, not because we found out, like, I don't know, what they may have done in their bedroom last week or something. It's like, because that stuff is like personal. But that's a different subject as well. So Hax ended up coming back, and for a little while, and they let him back into the nightclub, ironically. And so he comes back, and he's playing well. He's winning the tournaments, getting top 3 at least. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. It seems like we're back in the sacred timeline, the one that's like the canon event type shit. So now after that, he does the biggest mistake you could do in this community, and I'm even making it right now, so let's try to keep me safe as well, guys. Please, I'd love to keep playing, but I also have to speak my mind, so here I am today. Is that he spoke his mind on his platform about his side of the story and how he felt about things after he was banned, and now part of the code of conduct that he was given, and, it's so ridiculous, is that basically one of the stipulations is like, yeah, you can't make any content speaking your mind on the subject. So basically, like, shut up. That's it. We don't want to hear what you have to say. In fact, nobody's allowed to hear what you have to say, whether you're right or wrong. Now, I personally believe, as a human being, that whether I am right or wrong is one thing. My ability to express these thoughts, my freedom to have a stance, to have an opinion, to have a side of the story is my God-given right. Like it's up to me to share my experience with the world. Like it's at my discretion how much I want to share. So basically they ended up canceling him again, banning him again, because he broke the code of conduct, like putting him under basically what's if you ask me, it just sounds like a fucking cease and desist. And like, it's funny how much shit we've given Nintendo for CDCs, yet our whatever, cease and desists. And here we are doing the exact same thing to people. And it's like, like, now we've judged his character, we've judged where he came from, so now he's just so desperate to come back because, as we've touched on briefly previously, that Aziz was clearly a very unhinged, emotionally unwell person. And as a man growing up in 2025, as a 25-year-old man, I've been through a lot of shit. I've done stupid shit. I've been in toxic relationships. Like I've gotten into fights with my friends, and like I've gotten into screaming matches. Like I've had really petty, heated arguments with ex-girlfriends, all that type of normal shit that most people have also been through if they're actually willing to admit it. Like, I've had moments, like most people do, like where I've been unhinged, where I've done things that represent something that of an emotionally unwell person. But you know what? I grew from the experience, because the experience is what taught me the wisdom in order to move forward, to learn from that and be the person I'm supposed to be and grow from it. So, he went through his experience, and he obviously started feeling so bad. He started feeling guilty, and then he really did apologize to the community countless times, and then they still wouldn't let him back in, and they wouldn't even give him a time on when he can come back. They didn't say next year. They didn't say 2 years from now. They said, no. That's it. Just no. And it's like, so he starts to beg. And it's like, admittedly, it's a bad look, but, this guy's emotionally unwell. And the thing is that Melee, for people like him and people like me and a lot of people, is an outlet. And if you have a lot going on in your life, you will tunnel vision in what I would argue is a pretty healthy way, all of your focus into your craft, art, work, and that is how you can kind of end up creating a path out of the darkness. Like you listen to Eminem, you listen to Nas or any of our favorite rappers. They will tell you this story. All I need is one mic. It's like, come on, bro. It's like, did you motherfuckers listen to any goddamn soulful music? Like, these people are soulless in the community. So you took away the one vice this guy had, called him unhealthy for needing it, isolated him from his people, from his purpose, from his passion. A game where he created a controller for handicapped players to literally play. And it's like, okay, he makes one mistake acting out one day, and, apparently he abuses his platform. You know what? Who doesn't abuse their platform? Which one of these fucking Twitch famous, YouTube famous, antisocial, lack of real experience types of people haven't gone on there and talked shit about somebody? Haven't gone on there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who are you to judge? And that's what it comes back to, is that the Melee community loves to stand on, they love to act like they're on a pedestal, like they're better than people. And it's like, the thing is, we don't even know what's happening in closed doors behind these people who are making these rules. So they take the power and they abuse it, and for whatever reason they don't like Hax. I don't know if it's because he's independent. He was independent and he didn't need any, like who knows, like what the reason was for not liking him, because it couldn't just be what he said about this one guy. It's like, okay, like clearly it's like he's not fitting in with the mold that the powers that be, aka the Melee backroom, and a lot of the video game communities, a lot of communities in general, are becoming this place where it's like, okay, it's safe for you if you follow this culture and if you subscribe to this way of being, which is very different from a lot of the ways we grew up. Some people are a little bit goofier. Some people make jokes on certain things that other people don't, but it's up to the world itself to become comfortable in these areas. It's not for any principal-esque figure or a fake authority figure, especially because they're coming from insecure places anyway, to write off, isolate, or cancel somebody just because they think a little bit differently or made a mistake that they apologize for relentlessly. It's like the guy just wants to come back and play the game. You're also preventing him from feeding his family. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are hurting him and his legacy, Like, the dude, and then before all this happened, then the dude, it was just him and his mom, so he needed the income, and he needed, this was also his passion, it was his path. And nobody took any of that into consideration. Nobody took any of this into consideration. He's just unhealthy for needing to be here. Okay, maybe he does need to be here, and then one day he won't, once he grows from the experience. That's how it goes. Some people are struggle until one day they find success, whether it's being a musician or a YouTuber, and then one day they figure it out and they get their social experience and it works out. So if it wasn't for some uptight motherfuckers that think that they're better than other people, playing armchair psychologist, playing armchair public service protector. Like, you're not a cop, you're not a police officer. I know nobody respects the police anymore, but the point is that you're not a public defender. You're not here to make choices for the greater good for the rest of us. As a New Yorker, as a New York City Melee player for over a decade, nobody asked the players who made this community a thing, who made it what it is today, if we wanted Aziz gone. Nobody asked him how we felt around him. No, based off of a linear string of most likely of no, honestly, very liberal belief systems and very, oh, you can't say this, you can't do that, you're putting these people in danger. It's like, you guys don't know what real danger is. All right? Like, like I'll tell you, I'll tell you guys one of these days. I'll tell you guys a couple stories. But, like for you guys to put somebody in this box, ruin their reputation, ruin their livelihood, and then this person who clearly needs this game, you drove him to kill himself. Excluding people just because they're different is not okay. You want to talk about inclusion and being an inclusive community. Well, it's not feeling very inclusive to me. Like, the point of games like Melee, or like if you grew up playing sports, you'll understand, is that like, besides the fact that they're fun as shit, some people find strength and power and a reason to keep going by entirely diving into what they do, whether it's a sport, a job, or a video game, like, and that disconnection from themselves keeps them level enough to get to the next day and have something to work on, to look forward to. And then once they make it, that's when they start working on the other issues, the personal issues. That's when they have the time and the resources to get a relationship going. And that's when they work on the interpersonal issues that people so heavily want to go in on people for. And it's like, dude, nobody's perfect, man. We just want to play video games. Like, my job is to beat your ass because I'm better than you. It's not to be a perfect person. You got a problem with me? Fox only Final Destination, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, to come from this moral superiority, like, this could have been easily avoided. In fact, he was crying for help. There were literal cries for help on his Twitter, and he was just ignored because the people who are in this community nowadays, people who are running this community, have no soul. And if it wasn't for you guys, I would still have my friend here to play with today. I hung out with him in the past couple of years, even when he was banned. Go to his house. I went to a little tournament in Brooklyn that the rest of the New York City community ignored for some reason, where they were doing hacks and DA West, In fact, you could find a set of me from a month and a half ago of me playing hacks. I almost had them, but, like, this type of liberal totalitarian, like, you can't say this, otherwise we're just gonna kick you out, and like we're just gonna go on Twitter and cancel you like a couple like little fucking bitches. It's like, dude, like, y'all need to grow up, because there are real consequences to this. It's supposed to be a fun place, not a place where we're always worried about harassment. A wise man named Morgan Freeman once said, you want to get rid of racism, you stop talking about racism. Alright, guys, I'm going to leave it on that note. Aziz, my boy, rest in peace. Spent many nights with him. He let me sleep in his bed when we were training Melee. That's how much he cared about the game. He didn't care. Like, if you were good at the game, you really were there to play. That's all he cared about was the game. All he cared about was the game. And if you really cared about Melee and you were there to play and you could give him a good fight, even if you couldn't, all he cared about was just sitting there and playing you. And a lot of people, they don't have that. A lot of people, they get into communities for wrong reasons. They need the attention, the validation, the friendship. I respect people who are there for the game. Like everyone's got different purposes for participating, but People who are there for the game will push the game farther, and it will be better for everybody. You know, because that's why we all come together, is because we all love Melee. And the one guy who loved it the most is gone. So, honestly, I'm going to stop rambling, guys. Rest in peace, my boy. Take it easy.